You've apologized to a chair before, a door, a stranger who stepped on your foot. You said sorry and you meant it, and the worst part is you didn't even think that was weird. You start emails with apologies. You apologize for having an opinion. You apologize for and somewhere in the back of your mind, you know it is too much, but you can't stop because it doesn't feel like a choice. It feels like, and here is what nobody explains. Chronic apologizing isn't politeness. It is not humility. It is a trauma response wearing a really convincing costume. You are the one who says sorry before making a request, like your words might bruise someone. The one who whispers in restaurants because your voice feels like an inconvenience. You are the person who rewrites a 2-sentence text 11 times because what if it comes across wrong? What if you are too much? And here is what is fascinating. The psychology behind compulsive apologizing goes so much deeper than most people realize, and it probably started before you could even spell the words. Picture this. You are 5 years old, maybe 6, and someone in your house is angry. Not at you necessarily, just angry. The air changes. You can feel it before anyone says a word. The temperature in the room drops. Footsteps get heavier. Cabinets close harder than they need to. No one explains what is happening. No one tells you it is not your fault. The silence just sits there like something alive, and your tiny nervous system does the math instantly. Someone's upset. I might be the reason. If I say sorry first, maybe it stops before it starts. And so you say it. Tiny voice, eyes down, sorry, and the tension drops half a degree, and your brain files that away forever. And it works. Or at least it seems to. The apology becomes a shield, a tool, the fastest way to de-escalate a room you didn't even blow up. Developmental psychologists call this a parentified stress response. It is when a child learns to manage the emotional climate of a household that the adults should have been managing themselves, and the apology becomes the tool they reach for most, because it is small, it is quiet, and it almost always works. And here is the thing. It doesn't just happen in big explosive households. It happens in quiet ones too. Houses where no one yelled but disappointment hung in the air like humidity. A parent who sighed too loud. A caregiver who went silent when they were hurt. A household where love felt conditional and the conditions were never written. So let's talk about what that does to a brain over 20-25 years. Because it doesn't just stay in childhood, it metastasizes. The first thing chronic apologizing does is teach your nervous system that you are always the problem. Every social interaction starts with the assumption that you've already done something wrong. Psychologists call it an external locus of responsibility. In plain English, it means you've been trained to believe that other people's emotions are your fault, your job, your mess to clean up. And that belief doesn't just sit there quietly. It drives everything. How you date, how you negotiate, how you respond when someone cuts you in line. Someone at work is in a bad mood, and you immediately run a full audit of your last 48 hours trying to figure out what you did. You carry a running inventory of every potential micro-offense you might have committed. It is exhausting. It is invisible. And you've been doing it so long you forgot it is not how everyone operates. But here is where it gets really interesting and a little painful. Compulsive apologizing is actually a branch of something bigger. Trauma researchers call it the fawn response. Fight, flight, freeze, and the fourth one nobody taught you about. It is when your survival strategy isn't to punch, run, or shut down. It is to please, to shrink, to immediately make yourself agreeable so the threat goes away. And sorry is the fastest fawn. It communicates, I am not a threat. I acknowledge your discomfort. I'll absorb whatever this is so we can skip the conflict. It works in meetings when things get tense. It works in relationships when your partner goes quiet. It works everywhere, which is why it is so hard to stop. Because fawning doesn't feel like a trauma response. It feels like being nice. It feels like being the bigger person, and the world rewards it constantly, which is the most confusing part. You get praised for the very thing that is quietly erasing you. The problem is, you are not actually sorry, you are scared, and those are two completely different things that your body learned to make sound. And there is this thing that happens next that nobody talks about, the self-erasure. When you apologize for everything, you are sending a constant message to yourself. Your needs are secondary. Your opinions are impositions. Your presence requires permission. Psychologists call this chronic self-diminishment. But the real word for it is disappearing. You take up less and less space until you are barely there, and then you apologize for what is left. You decline compliments like they're dangerous. You deflect praise like it might burn you if you hold it too long. Someone says you did a great job and your first instinct is to list everything you did wrong. And the cruelest part is that people around you barely notice. Not because they're cruel, but because you've gotten so good at being small that your smallness just looks like who you are. But here is the thing about all of this that might actually surprise you. The constant apologizing doesn't actually make people feel better about you. It makes them trust you less. Research on interpersonal dynamics shows that excessive apologizing erodes perceived authenticity. When everything is sorry, nothing is. The word loses its weight. It is a painful paradox. The very thing you do to keep people close is the thing that creates distance. The armor starts causing the disconnection you were trying to avoid. And some people in your life have probably said it directly. Stop apologizing so much, and you nodded, and then apologized for apologizing. It is not a habit you can white-knuckle your way out of. It is a nervous system pattern that has been reinforced 10,000 times, and undoing it requires patience, not will. So what does the road back look like? Because there is one, and it doesn't require you to never apologize again. It just requires you to mean it when you do. The first step is honestly the hardest. It is noticing. Not stopping, not changing, just noticing. Every time sorry leaves your mouth, you pause afterward and ask one question. Was that an apology, or was that a reflex? And at first, the answer is almost always reflex. That is okay. You are not trying to fix it yet. You are just turning the lights on. Therapists who work with chronic apologizers often use a reframe. Instead of sorry, try thank you, not as a trick, as a translation. Sorry I am late becomes thank you for waiting. Sorry for venting becomes thank you for listening. Same information, completely different direction, and it will feel wrong at first. Like standing without a seatbelt, because your body has spent decades bracing, and telling it to stop bracing feels reckless. But reckless and free feel identical to a nervous system that was never allowed to relax. The discomfort isn't a sign you are doing it wrong. It is a sign you are doing something. And here is what I want to leave you with, because this is the part that matters most. The part of you that learned to apologize first wasn't weak. It was brilliant. It read the room faster than anyone else and found the quickest path to calm. But you are not in that room anymore. The air isn't going to change without warning. The person in front of you isn't the person you were protecting yourself from at 5 years old. You survived something invisible, something that didn't leave bruises or make headlines, something so quiet that even you didn't recognize it as harm for years. But your body remembers, and now your mind gets to catch up. You are allowed to exist without a disclaimer. You are allowed to have a need without prefacing it with an apology, taking up exactly as much space as you take up, which, by the way, was never too much. It was always exactly right. You just had people around you who made your exact right amount feel like a burden, and it wasn't. It never was. And you are allowed to take up that space, all of it, without asking permission first. So the next time sorry rises in your throat for no reason, and you'll feel it, it'll come fast. Try this. Let it sit there for 1 second, 1 single second, and ask yourself, did I actually do something wrong? Or am I just existing out loud? That 1 second pause is the beginning of everything. It is about becoming someone who only says sorry when it is true. And that is the psychology of people who apologize for everything. If you felt seen in this video, truly seen, subscribe. These deep dives take real time, and your support makes them possible. Hit the join button if you want to become a channel member. And if you know someone who apologizes for breathing, send them this. Sometimes the most healing thing isn't it is okay. It is you don't have to be sorry for that. And maybe that is enough, just being here, without apologizing for it.